My name is Tyler Royke. I'm here with my co-host Jimmy Doolin. You're listening to ABC's Agent Broker Conversations, where we talk all things real estate. And Jimmy, welcome back. Happy Monday here.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing good. I feel like the week is young with opportunity on the horizon. I've got calls scheduled. I mean, I think in the past 3 days, I've had three different people reach out to me who weren't on my radar, and they wanted to have a conversation about what it would look like to work with me directly. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I just see fresh opportunity going into this week. But how's everything on your side of things?
Good, good, good. July was the largest month for me of people that I didn't come in contact, but ultimately joined the organization somewhere below me. So it was that was pretty neat to see random people join that I didn't have I didn't play a role in it, at least not an active role. Obviously,
Yeah,
somewhere at some point in time, I had some engagement with somebody that had engagement with somebody, but they didn't go through me, if you will, in order to join. And that was pretty exciting because when that happens, it's not, your growth isn't limited to the hours in the day for you. And that's pretty exciting.
yeah, I'm seeing more of that as well. Lately, I don't know if it's been the best month or not, but it seems like as the weeks have progressed this year, that I have more calls that other agents in my organization schedule with me, because I'm the go-to person to show people what the opportunity looks like. And so I've got a call this morning. Another one of my agents set up, and actually probably the best thing that has happened to me in the past week is I have one of my agents, one of my icon agents, uh, literally for the second time, if not, yeah, I think the second time, like within the last month, he scheduled a call for someone that reached out to him to learn more. But the way that the way these people are finding him is on the internet. So he's like literally duplicating what I've taught. And now he's finding people that he doesn't even have an existing connection with, that are finding him online, that are reaching out because they want to learn more what it's like to work with him and what we got going in the organization. So that made me super excited, because I just always imagine, what would it look like if I had just 10 people that did that. If I had 10 people that did that on a regular basis, that would be pretty big.
Yeah, yeah, it would. You're right. It would be unbelievable. Um, yeah, the when other people do it and it begins to happen, it's just I don't know. That's just a celebration. That's when you have to celebrate a bit. I was just thinking of something. I think we are coming up on our 1 year anniversary.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, probably what, within the next month or two,
Yeah, it's got
maybe.
to be within the next month or two because we met in Seattle
Yep.
and we started this shortly thereafter, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think I think September, when we hit September, somewhere in September, second, third week, maybe first week in October, somewhere right in there, we will have crossed the line to have a 1 year under our belt. I don't know. Did we get any better or worse? Do you have any feel for that?
I think I've gotten better. Hopefully, I say like a lot less, because that was something like watching the first couple episodes. I noticed I said I had a lot of pauses. So hopefully, I've gotten better in that regard. Hopefully, someone can let us know if anyone's watching. Leave us a comment.
I know the conversations have evolved because we've just kind of settled into as opposed to it being scripted, if you will. We've just kind of settled into a comfortable conversation. So I do know that we've adapted and changed and evolved over the last year, and probably that'll continue. But so here's the thing I commonly get: cloud-based brokerage. How are you guys going to support me? Where do I go for training? What's going to happen? Are there human beings that I can talk to? Do you ever get that?
That's probably the most common like thought or question or concern that people have coming from a traditional brokerage. I'll use the word traditional today. A traditional brokerage, local franchise. Maybe it's not a franchise, maybe a small independent mom and pop. But yeah, that's the most common concern people will have.
I agree. So let's talk about that. What are your kind of common responses to that, or how do you like to address that?
Yeah, it's not the most intuitive thought when you think cloud based. I think intuitively people associate cloud based with being detached from that human to human connection. And that might be the case with some companies, I guess, how they have things structured or how the support system works. But that couldn't be further from the reality with how EXP works and how we're structured. In fact, the cloud based aspect of EXP, it actually doesn't remove the human element. In fact, it actually enhances it, meaning you have a greater extent of human to human connectivity from everyone from the agent population, the broker population, and the staff support population. You have a greater amount of interaction with them than you would otherwise have at a traditional company. And that's whether you're coming from a small independent or a big franchise. And I can say that with certainty because I've come from both. Last brokerage I was with was a small independent. The one I was with prior was the biggest franchise in one of the major markets in the country. So I've seen exactly what kind of support you get in both those scenarios. I've seen what it's like with us. And that's probably the thing that's been my biggest surprise about EXP. Because, like, if I'm just being honest, I didn't join EXP because, I thought or was hoping it had the best support in the world. That was not a factor for why I even came on board. But come to find out, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is crazy how much support I have, how much interactivity and connection I have with the other agents. It just was nowhere like that at the previous places I came from, and not that they were bad, but what I was accustomed to there, like it's night and day what I'm accustomed to here. What I was accustomed to there is, I might connect with one or two or three of the other agents in the office doing the most. And that was like the extent of the personal relationships I would have with anyone. I might see the broker every so often. And, when I need something, it's like I could count on one hand, if that, how many people I would ever go to for help or support with anything. Even the big franchise, I could think of 3 people that were part of the support structure, 3 people in an office of 800 agents that I could think of that would be someone I would ever go to for help with anything.
The truth is that when it comes to support, I mean, we can get into the agent, we can get into the support count, right? I mean, I can go down the basics and say, hey, you've got your sponsor, you're a part of this team, so you've got your team leader, you've got your 2 in Indiana. We've got 2 brokers for the state. You've got your broker staff. We have our, you can go to the World, and at the World you can go get anybody from accounting to legal to marketing, whatever. You can go talk to anybody there. You can go on Slack and find any number of people. But at the end of the day, what it really boils down to more than anything it is the model itself. And the model creates a scenario that is just so driven towards that support. That's what gets me more than anything. It's the actual model, the way that it's created, that everybody helps everybody win. That's what I think really drives this thing forward.
Yeah, that's the biggest distinction. I mean, just being agent centric, and it's not something we just say, like, literally it's in every aspect of how this thing was structured. But the it facilitates, like, there's not another place where if you're a top performer or you're incentivized as heavily as you are here, like, I think of it in terms of, paying rent for like owning versus renting. We all know this analogy, because you're going to have a house payment either way. Depending on what market you're in, it's probably within a couple hundred, if not a few $100 difference between renting and owning a similar property. But at the end of the day, only one situation are you building equity that over the course of time has the potential to be meaningfully valuable for you. And that's the distinction here. Here, if you're a top performer, you're handed a sizable chunk of equity every single year, like clockwork. Any other scenario, that's going to be money that all of it went to the broker and you never got any upside back in terms of the financial upside that you would otherwise have if you were building equity in something. And so that's just a big element of why we have so many top performers eager to help, eager to contribute. And it really shows up in the way that if you're tapping into that, you're going to have a broader knowledge base to tap into. You're going to have more people willing to take the time to answer your call or teach you something. They're going to have more trainings on the schedule. So it's not even comparable to what I've ever seen any local broker be able to facilitate.
No, it's impossible. It's impossible for another broker to facilitate it. I mean, I was a broker and we were doing everything in our power. So 250 agents in my firm, 30 full-time staff people, inclusive of myself. Like, there's just going to be times where every single one of those people is talking to somebody and can't take a call. And it's just over. I mean, there's nothing you can do, or that I mean, if I was in doing a deal, or I was in a closing, or I was in a meeting where I was unavailable, and at the end, that made it really, really that complicated the process. So it may have felt, people may have thought on the surface that they had more, but the reality is they had less. I mean, the amount of service and the amount of support now that we have. I mean, if somebody needs something, and my ability to just go onto Slack, if it's not something I can help them with right now, and pair them with the correct person, and get the ball rolling for them while I'm tied up, it's just unbelievable. It just, I mean, I'm just constantly in awe of how that works.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a complete difference from if you're coming from any other brokerage type prior to this. And the only way you're really going to understand it is by experiencing it. I think we can help to shed light on what that experience is like by even just giving a tour of our cloud-based office. I love to do that when I'm on Zoom calls with people, sharing with what the opportunity looks like with us. I like to hop on at some point during our call when we're talking support, and I'm like, hey, let me just show you. And then we hopped on. I always let them know, hey, they have no idea I'm about to pop in here right now. So let's just see what happens. I mean, shoot, I might fall flat on my face right now and embarrass myself, but let's just see. So I always hop into the broker room, and then almost without fail, almost every single time, I'm like explaining to them right after I appear in the broker room. I'm explaining to them. So if I wanted to talk to a broker, here's what I would do. And then usually before I'm even done explaining it, someone greets me, Tyler, hi, what can we do for you? And they're always shocked. And I'm like, yeah, before I could even explain to you how I would talk to a real person, they're trying to help me. So that's kind of what happens if you're here during office hours.
Yeah, it is really astounding at the opportunities that are there and available for the agents to take advantage of. I mean, it just doesn't matter the topic, the subject. The other thing is just the community. I mean, if you were, I don't know, let's just say you found this for sale by owner and you wanted to call on it, and you just didn't know what to do. You were tongue-tied, if you will, or you were scared, but you wanted to do it. Man, there is probably somebody making live calls to for sale by owners right now. Like it every time there is a conversation going in so many of these different groups, and that is based on the very activity that an agent may be looking to do right now. You can post and just say, hey, I've found this for sale by owner and I don't know what to do. And does anybody have any advice? And the number of people that will come out and share is just unbelievable. I'm just blown away by what is at your fingertips, readily available for each and every agent, each and every day.
Yeah, it's unlike anything else I imagined would even be possible in the business, and that's coming from the other brokerages I did. I never saw a flaw in the way. I just thought it was the way it was. I thought it was to be expected that if you needed something, you wouldn't always really get it right away when you needed it, and that's kind of what I was accustomed to. I never imagined there was another way.
I think when the new ways get released, that identifies the flaw in the old way, right? Because the old way is the way, and that's what we were all doing, and so that's what was available. It was, somebody bought a franchise and this, that, and the other, and you were in your little silo. Like my franchise was in my silo. It was my responsibility to provide everything that was needed within my franchise. And then you step outside of that and realize just how vast and how great the opportunity is, and how many people from different states, different countries, how they all kind of come together to help each other. And like I said, I mean, just as simple as I've got a for sale by owner that I want to call, and you could put it in any number of those Slack channels, and somebody's going to say, "Oh yeah, I did one yesterday. This is what I did," or here's my script that I use every day, because you're just talking to people around the world. So it's just, I don't know. I think when people are open-minded enough to hear and see and get exposure to change, those are I think they start to realize. I've heard the saying before: once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I think that's very appropriate. Once you see what a united group of people that help each other, what it looks like, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, and that was me. And once I saw it, I was, I could not go forward in life pretending like I didn't just see it. So it was on my mind. But at the same time, I walked in with an open mind, and I think in large part for me it was because I wasn't actually looking for something, and I honestly didn't even know. And I hear occasionally that people get rubbed the wrong way about this, but I'm glad it happened the way it did for me. Yeah, I didn't know I was showing up to learn about EXP. Someone invited me to lunch, and I didn't know I was going to learn something, but I did. And I've heard the other side of that story of how people get upset about that. I'm not upset that I learned about an opportunity that changed my life and wasn't planning on it, because if that was dependent on me thinking I was looking for an opportunity, I wouldn't have even been there, and nothing would have happened. And I'm glad that something happened. I'm glad that I had an open mind. I think, again, I had an open mind because I wasn't looking for something. I didn't even know I was about to see something. So I'm seeing it, observing, knowing that I didn't feel like there was any pressure. I just felt like, okay, I'm here in this room. What are they getting at with all this stuff? And I heard, I'm like, wow, this is different. But I saw the vision, and it was once you see it, you can't unsee it. I think if you have the right mindset on it, some people, if you're too hard-headed or too determined that you're set in your ways, maybe it doesn't hit the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think on that front, you can't know the level of support or the level of tools or what the resources that are available unless you explore it. But I have, what I haven't had, I've not had anyone come up to me after they've joined and say, geez, there's just no support here, or there's just no I can't get any training. Like it it that's just the bottom line. Whereas like I met with an agent. This was an agent that I talked to about coming on board. And I really thought he was coming with us. And he didn't. He went to a local independent here, our largest independent. And I met with him 45 days later. And I said, "How's training going?" "Well, I haven't started yet." I'm like, "You're 45 days in." I started the fast cap. I'm taking fast cap so that I can kind of see what our agents are learning and know how to better support them during their fast cap journey. I'm I'm in class 10 or 12, and my agents that started when he started are in their 10th or 12th class, and he hadn't even started. Wasn't even available yet. His training program hadn't launched. So the old method was, well, we need to wait till we have so many people and then we'll launch it. And so as a result, he's he's a couple months in and hasn't done anything. He's had one or two open houses. And that's the extent of what he's done in his first 60 days. That's
Yeah,
just old and tired and antiquated.
yeah, and if you move too slow, you can't really compete with people moving at more of a stride, and maybe that's partially because they're brokerages as well. But the biggest the biggest people that struggle with us are the people that don't really plug in. That's the most common thing I see, because someone here, they could have access to all the training. I've seen the same thing happen with certain people, though. You check with them 45 days in and figure out what they've plugged into, and they struggle. If they struggle to answer that question, I think they're the kind of person that, regardless of where they're at, I mean, if you have all the support in the world or you don't, it's only as good if you actually use it. So the people that use it are the ones that are going to thrive. The people who don't, it's as if they didn't have it if they don't really utilize it.
That is my wife's full-time gig, is the agent engagement side of this. It is picking up the phone and calling agents that in our organization that haven't had a transaction ever, or in the last 90 days. So ever meaning the new agents that have just moved over. 90 days. If anybody goes 90 days without a transaction, she's calling them and finding out what it is that's in their way so that we can get them into the appropriate class. Is it that they're just busy with family stuff, or they don't know what to do, or they're scared, or whatever? But like, that is every day. It's calling people and helping getting them engaged, whether it's coming to something we do virtually, or we do in person, or it's something EXP's doing, but getting them engaged, because there's no doubt that you've got to engage, and that is not specific to this brand. That is just in general. If you don't engage and you go a long period of time with no engagement, eventually you will wash out, and that's what we want to prevent.
What has been the result of those calls so far? Like, I guess, to what extent are you finding that it's actually helping get people on track that weren't?
She started this at the beginning of July, so she's been doing it for a month now. I don't know specifically, but I will ask her, and I'll give you an update. I know. Hey, Tam. I thought that was her right out there. I was going to see. I will ask, and I'll get you. But I know that it's getting people in fast cap. It's getting people in any number of other courses. The Zooms that I do, getting them scheduled if maybe they want to do an open house, getting them scheduled with an open house. It's just trying to make sure that they have. Do you have signs? Do you have business cards? Have you set up your CRM? Do you have the Slack channel? Do you have Slack? Are you in our channels? It is just going through and trying to nurture that person into engagement of some level, because once they get a little bit, then a little bit more can happen, a little bit more. If they don't have Slack, for instance, they're not going to know that this organization even exists, and they're not going to have any comprehension of everything available to them. So that's like our number one, is making sure they're on there so that they are seeing all the opportunities that are available to them. I do know she's managed to get, I think in the last month, I think she told me it was around 30 people that she got onto Slack that didn't have it. So
Nice.
that's pretty significant. But I don't know in terms of the training, but I do know she's been kind of brokering open houses, asking agents that have listings, do you have an open house that another agent can do? And then asking agents that don't have listings, do you want to do an open house? Like, she's been brokering internally. And that's really, I mean, because I think the fastest way to our growth is continue to lift the bottom. So if we can have, I saw in, was it? Oh, I know, it was in Corded. In Corded, I saw that I'm a branch office for EXP, and I saw in my branch office that I'm right at 70% of my agents have had a transaction. So
that's good.
So that's not a bad number. We need, but the easiest, fastest way to move our team forward is to narrow that gap down to 80%, 7 or 60%, or excuse me, 90%, et cetera, so that we're only have 10%, 15%. So if we can get from, 70 to 85, that goes a long way. And like I've got one that joined us that had been in the business a year with somebody else and no transactions, and she's writing her first deals with us. So pretty exciting that have her do a couple of transactions. So I do know that engagement is what we're focused on, and get somebody to their first transaction where they can taste it. It goes a long way when they see a commission check. They get their first stock award. All those kind of things kind of kick in and it becomes reality, right?
Yeah, it goes a long way. Momentum is the biggest thing. Building it is the biggest challenge, but once you have it, it's easier to keep it going if you want to.
Yeah, exactly. And once you get it's easier to want more once you get a taste than it is to get the taste. So we just have to get them into that first transaction, get them engaged in the process, because real estate is a progression of doing the right activities over a sustainable period of time. That's how real estate works. You do the right things over and over and over again, and eventually it will produce some results. If you don't do the right things, then it won't. And that's just the bottom line with real estate.
Yeah, exactly. It's what we do over the past 90 days that's showing up today, and what we'll do over the next that will reflect in the time after that.
Exactly. Well, I feel like this is going to be a busy week. I've got lots to do, lots to be excited about. I did get my trip canceled, so I'm definitely not going. So you're on your own.
Well, your presence will be missed in the room.
I appreciate it. Well, I've got lots to do, so it'll be good to get more of this stuff done and refined and going in the right direction, and more of the system so that there's continuity in my efforts, and so that there's a compounding factor. It's not just the one dial or the one thing I did. It's the one thing I did, and it's the 10 things that I didn't physically have to do that came together and created the opportunity. And that's what I need more of. I need those other 9 or 10 things happening in the backdrop that I'm not engaged in.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense.
Yeah. All right, my friend. Well, as always, we appreciate you guys watching, listening. We'd love to have you engaged in the conversation. After all, it is an agent broker conversations. And if you are an agent or a broker, either way, we'd love to have you share. We'd love to have your comments. We'd love to have you share, like, comment, follow, whatever the case may be. we're here every Monday having a conversations, and having a conversation. We'd look forward to having you join us. Until next week, have a great week. Mr. Roike, any closing statements?
Just lean into what you know works. If you're not sure what works, plug into more of what Jimmy and I got going on. We definitely got something for you. But yeah, just lots to be excited about. Lots shaping up. I'm leaning into the updates with ChatGPT and Instagram. They had some significant updates within the past few days. So if you don't already know about those, look into it. But basically stuff that makes it easier to reach more people. If you want to put yourself out there in front of whoever you're trying to reach, whether it's buyers, sellers in your market area, or agents like what Jimmy and I do, whatever the case is, the channels are there to make more connections, I think, than you could have ever done prior to this point. So there's just more and more opportunity. And I'll leave with one more closing thought. I was just speaking with one of my agent partners, and she was telling me that she's seeing more opportunity helping buyers because so many agents out there in her market area are very timid when it comes to compensation and, just figuring out how to get that secured. And so point is, it's, if you're someone who can be well trained and savvy and know how to navigate these conversations correctly, there's probably more opportunity for you in your market right now than there may have been in years past. So, and that's why I told her, I'm like, if that's what you're seeing, that means there's a ton of opportunity out there for you to come in and swoop up, what other agents might not be as savvy about, capturing the same opportunity. So, do more of that. And, if you lack anything in the way of resources, like I said, connect with Jimmy or myself, and we can put you on game to some things that will help you get on the right track with everything you're working on.
Good advice. See you guys all next week.